Mount Rainier, the crown jewel of the Cascade Range and an icon on any mountaineer's climbing goals. Located in Washington State, in the heart of the Pacific Northwest, this 14,409-foot volcano presents some of the best mountaineering objectives in the lower 48 states. Okay, I'm Radish, and our journey to the summit of Mount Rainier follows the Disappointment Cleaver Route over the course of 3 days in August of 2023. Starting from Paradise, the DC route quickly gains 5,000 feet up the Muir Snowfield to Camp Muir, over half of the vert for the entire climb.
I want to die right now.
At Camp Muir, we found a scenic alpine hut system for guided groups. Reminiscent of the base camps I had experienced in the Nepali Himalaya, we, however, had a tent camp just past the rocky saddle and stone bunkhouses, on the foot of the Cowlitz Glacier itself. The route was reported to be in very late season conditions. Hot and dry weather had forced the glaciers to break apart, and new, giant crevasse systems had recently ripped open, along with an incredibly large serac fall, altering and extending our climbing route significantly. We quickly did the math and realized we'd have to start the climb at 10 p.m. that very night in order to safely be back at base camp before the upper mountain heats up and rock and ice start falling on our heads. After a refreshing 45-minute night's sleep, we geared up, donned our harnesses, and roped up in the pitch black through freezing cold and howling winds. Nine hours later, at 7 a.m. the following morning, we reached the summit of Mount Rainier just as the sun was rising in the east. So this is the story of the route, from the top down. The summit crater was wide enough to land an airplane on. We were exhausted from the grueling climb up and anxious to get back down before the glaciers started breaking apart from the heat of the day. 2 climbers in our group were suffering minor altitude-related sicknesses, but myself and my partner were feeling surprisingly strong, having just completed a week on the Ptarmigan Traverse in the North Cascades. From the crater, we followed the extremely circuitous route down the ice cap of the upper mountain as it weaves in and around insanely huge crevasse systems. The route changes throughout the year as new cracks form and widen. A recent serac fall forced the route to detour over a mile, traversing out onto the Emmons Glacier to avoid the new abyss. We now had to cross over the pits of hell on 3 ladders tied together with rope. We weaved in and out of thousands of penitentes. All around us, ice blocks lay where they broke off and fell from the overhanging glacial walls, like we were in a dilapidated sculpture garden. When we eventually reached the Disappointment Cleaver, we hopped off the glacier system and onto classic Cascade Choss. Using the cleaver as a highway through the mighty Ingraham Icefall, we picked our way through steep and loose volcanic rubble down to the base of the Ingraham Glacier, with Little Tahoma looming in the background. Once on the Ingraham Glacier, we first passed through the bowling alley, a section of the glacier covered in boulders and debris prone to rockfall from above, and we were the bowling pins. Then we hit the ice box, an infamous section where the route runs directly under a massive serac, which releases house-sized chunks of blue ice as the day heats up. Moving efficiently and quickly through these sections was key. Eventually we made it down to the flats, where the terrain eases up, the glacier mellows out, and we crossed a small col to descend back down onto the Cowlitz Glacier. Crossing the Cowlitz was easy work, requiring us to jump a few small new cracks that weren't there only a few hours prior when we started our climb. But the sight of camp in the distance and the promise of sleep were strong. We made it back to base camp at Camp Muir around noon. We spent the afternoon recovering, eating, hydrating, sleeping. We plan to spend a second night up there at 10,000 feet and descend back to paradise the following morning. And so we enjoyed a final night on Tahoma, watching the sunset over our well-earned backpacking meals and cans of Rainier beer.